And thank you for starting the recording, Aaron. I always forget that part. All right, so just a quick presentation on some of the 5.3 updates. I think you can see my screen. So in the 5.3, we've got some menu toggle additions, dual list selector, next implementation, topology, and quick starts. And then we'll talk a little bit at the 5.0 alpha 2.0, which is coming May 15th. We'll just run through what's going to be included in that and then just talk about some of the testing opportunities that are available. So here's the new stuff. So there was an addition of status in the menu toggle. This was originally in the select component. That component has been deprecated, so we've moved the functionality into the menu toggle as well. So this will automatically pass the status icons associated with those different states, but you can override that if needed with the status icon property. The warning and danger statuses, we do require that helper text be provided in addition to the warning, or those danger and warning states, just to convey any additional context on why that error is happening in the page. And I'm going to hand it over to Katie, actually. She's going to talk about the dual list selector.
Yep, dual list selector next. Just wanted to cover that we have a new implementation of dual list selector in the 5.3 release. It is more composable for consumers. It'll give them a greater fine-tuned control over the setup and customization of each panel. We encourage everybody to try it out because as of the 5.3 release, it's in beta, so it's still open to feedback, changes, and will be our next official supported way of doing a dual list selector in our major release for V6. The major difference between the current version of dual list selector and this next implementation is that it is more of a composable component setup. So instead of just passing in data and having the component have hardwired to set it up in a very specific way, there's a bit more setup that you'll have to actually wire up yourself as part of the demo code. So we do recommend people try that out and give us feedback of how it feels and the ease of use. That'd be great, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Where I am. There we go. Some new updates in the topology, in particular the pipelines view, which was direct work done in product actually, and then contributed back to Patternfly. So there's now support for a now vertical pipeline layout. Traditionally, it was always kind of a left to right format, and kind of the top right screenshot here. Additional options for grouping. So there's nested groupings within the pipeline view. And then on top of that, we added functionality to expand and collapse those nested groups. It's similar to how it behaves in our core topology layouts. Now pipelines is also inheriting that same trait. So they can kind of clean up the number of tasks that are displayed and try and condense things down. And then there's also the addition of directional arrows to show the flow and progression, especially with additional layouts where it can be top to bottom, side to side. Having those directional arrows to kind of convey the flow of the pipeline. Quick Start's got another update. Really nice bookmarking feature was added into the cards, so you can kind of highlight some of the key ones that you want to keep in your back pocket ready to go. Remove the ASCII code that was in the cards. That functionality is still there, but we recommend shifting to Markdown instead of the ASCII format. Bug fixes would include the clickable cards and active and hover states. And then some of the links were linking out to a new tab, so we just fixed some of that code there. All right, shifting into the V6 stuff. So the Alpha 2.0 or Alpha Omega maximized whatever release, that's coming as of May 15th is the date for that. We're working on doing the fancifying of the extensions right now, going through all the work to migrate to the alpha release of extensions from the V5 repos that we're currently using. Our Patternfly charts are getting all new tokens and color palette changes that will be updated with this release as well. They do work currently just using the V5 global variables, but we're shifting to the tokens now. There's a bunch of tidying and cleaning and fun stuff happening, removing the / global variables, switching over to tokens instead. We're renaming some things like inline block instead of the directional padding left, right, margin top, that stuff, switching so that it can be supported with the right to left update that we did in our first quarter of V5. Removing all the deprecated SAS imports in favor of use and forward. And then there's a bunch of bug fixes that were identified in the initial release of the alpha that we're putting in things like menu toggle and just different components that we kind of caught as we were going through the process of updating all the tokens. All this is available on our GitHub repo as well. If you look up the alpha omega milestone, you'll see all the work that is slated for that particular release. So this is where we will be at. Just a reminder of the progression and the overall timeline where we're getting into the alpha 2 release. So we're doing all the utility cleanup and extensions. Next release will be our kind of final beta release to wrap up breaking change work, which is a good, we'll be really shifting gears into the testing, but we are already starting some testing with products now, still targeting the summer release for V6. And I'm reusing a slide, but still important. We're looking for anyone and everyone to do some testing for us, starting as soon as possible. We've done a lot of work to transition all of our work into the design tokens from global variables. There's a lot of updates to the components. There are deprecated components that we're shifting and writing code mods for. So any and all help that we can get from our products and community is greatly appreciated. There is a template that Nicole created. If you're going to go through the process of migrating, you can kind of have a guided step through, and there's ways included to file issues on any of the repos that are closely associated with the bug that you have. If there's feature requests or support you need, reach out to Patternfly on List Patternfly Slack channel is probably the easiest, or just file an issue on GitHub, I guess. Again, our staging site is available. We can link in the chat. If anyone wants to just click through and take a look, I'll put it in there now. That didn't work, sorry. Someone's gonna beat me to it, probably. Oop. Good. All right. Oops, I'm skipping. That's the end. Anyone have any questions, comments? Want to tell a joke? That's all ears. Put Nicole on the spot. Is there anything in particular with testing that you wanted to point out that I may have missed?
No. You covered it really well. I'm definitely interested in hearing about people's perceived level of effort to getting styles back into a good place, whether you have to remove a lot of custom styles or engage someone on the design side or didn't have to do any of that. Like, that's especially a question I'd love to hear about as people are engaging in these testing. It is one of the questions in the template, though, that you linked. So yeah, that's my call out, I guess, but that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. This is a pretty quick run through of everything. One call out is that there was a bug identified in the pagination component. I think it was pagination bottom with the menu toggle. So we're working on a patch for that. We don't have any more detail at this time. I don't think there's some testing going on just to make sure everything is working smoothly, but there will be a patch release in the relatively near future just to address that bug. And you'll get the method blast all over Slack on every channel to make sure that everyone has the most up-to-date versions of Patternfly. All right, I can stop presenting.